Oh.
Night.
Hey, I'm live. My son is just going to bed. Good night, Ostian. He's dressed as an elf. This is, you see, I never get used to this because I always forget. I always think it's going to be a conversation, and it is just me talking to myself. My mother's just left the room, having almost destroyed the place. She was trying to tidy. I don't want to be mean to my lovely, lovely mother. She picked up a large pot plant. The pot broke. Then the bottom pot fell off it. And then she tried to put that away with the other plants, and it fell off again. Mother, get ye to a nunnery or something. Hop it. Love you. Do you want to say hello to people? You won't be able to see anything.
No,
Here's my very Christmassly dressed mother in her very Christmassy room.
Oh,
It's no one to see. It's just you're just looking at yourself. It's a very odd situation, but we can see several people are already on the call. We can see that. Christine is there. Hello, Christine. Randy. Lots of names I know. Who else? Lisa. I've met in person in Oregon. Hello, Lisa. So I'm going to guess at. Is that Lynn Levian? Is that, sorry, because it's, names are put together, so I'm not quite sure. You're 70 degrees in Tampa, Arizona, and that's sunny. Yes. Well, so I'm in London. I mean, let's get the formalities out of the way. I'm in London in my family home with my family Christmas tree, the real one, not the white plastic one of my brother's in the front room. And it's been very, very cold this week in Europe. I've been in Paris, in the countryside near Paris for Christmas, and we spent a day in Paris, and it was freezing cold. Like the wind was awful. It was really, really horrible. And so it's quite nice to have that kind of wintry feeling. Of course, I don't want sunshine and the beach at Christmas. I love a cold Christmas. However, it was too cold in Paris, and it is not a lot better here in London. So in Arizona, it's nice and warm, which you'd expect, I'm sure. New Jersey, Audrey from New Jersey. Hello, Audrey. I think recognize your name from various places. Someone retracted a message, so sorry about that. Hello, Melanie, the first person who bought my calendar, and here it is. I bought my mum one. It's also the one that didn't get printed correctly. I'm sorry for the very jerky video. It's on my lap. Let's see if I can find a small table or something in a minute to stop the computer jerking around so much. But yeah, I'm sure everyone knows here. I'm not just here to sell calendars like QVC, like the shopping channel, but I thought I would mention that one exists. It is a real thing. And look, it's got actual covers of my books on all the way through to Christmas next year. No spoilers. So yeah, that's my mum's. That was just because I kind of fancied. Oh, I hit the computer. I fancied seeing whether people actually would like merchandise, because I have got writer friends who have vast stores full of merchandise, and I don't have much time to do it, but also haven't tried anything like that because I'm just busy writing the books. So yes, I'm here in my family home in London. My daughter is very, very tired. We got here today. We took the Eurotunnel. We drove the car onto a train this afternoon. Left Marius, my wife's family home near Paris, at about 9 o'clock this morning, and we got here about 2 in the afternoon, British time. So it wasn't too bad. It was a nice little journey, but my daughter was exhausted because we've had a very busy week for Christmas. And Melanie is in northwest London, from Staffordshire in Britain, in England. I hope you had a great Christmas and wishing you all happy New Year. Thank you very much and I'm sure that message to everyone. From Steph. So lots and lots of names I recognize from across Facebook and from emailing me. And I think you all know by now that I'm always happy to receive messages and emails. I personally reply to all the emails in case anyone ever questioned it. I do know authors who pay other people to reply to emails and Facebook and stuff like that. But first of all, I don't ever think I'm that important to pay someone to do that for me. And second of all, I'm rubbish at finding people to do stuff for me. I've never managed to delegate very well. Adverts, finally find someone to pay to do my advertising on Amazon. It's the first thing, and it's great. And of course the audiobook. I am so thankful every day that I stopped at the beginning. I started recording the audiobooks myself. I tried to get an actress to do Izzy with me producing it and recording it and being there, and I was not very good at it, and I was too much of a perfectionist. So I'm very, very happy to pay a professional studio, and of course George Blagden, who I continue to work with as much as possible on as many projects as possible. So he will be one of the voices on my thriller that is coming out in, I'll probably have to check it during the call, but either January or February. I cannot remember quite now. Let's keep going through the names of people here. From Washington State in the US, Melissa Weller. I was there in Washington what was it, last year now, in Seattle. Bonnie Martin in Reno, Nevada. I had a friend from Reno. Mary Jane from New Hampshire, USA, cold there, and she loves Mum's sweater dress, I think, and Mum is still floating around in the background, and she's kind of modelling it right now. I'm not gonna turn the camera around; she might be embarrassed. My mother is a very festive person, which is obviously where I get it from. She's still, I'll show you what she's currently involved in. She's decorating her dresser, one of her many dressers, and she's trying to make it even more.
Dressers.
I said one of your many dressers.
Yeah, dressers, not dresses.
Yeah, dresser, as in Welsh dress, a piece of furniture, not one of her dresses. She's quick to point out. Let's keep going through the names. I will eventually continue with what I was saying. So New Hampshire, I'd love to go to New Hampshire. Here it's lovely. Heidi from Austin. One of my very best American friends is from Austin, Texas. When I moved to Barcelona in the second month, I met her, and I've continued to be friends with her. Courtney. And so I'd love to go to Austin as well. I haven't been to Texas. I've got other friends in other parts of Texas too. Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. Nice. I think I had a few calendar orders from Canada. One thing I really liked about the calendar orders was seeing people all over. I kind of imagine my readers all being in sort of a few pockets of places. I must have had 30 different states order calendars, and then places all over Britain. One in Germany, one in Fiji, an American who I know, who I've in regular contact with, Diane. And so, but the number of states really amazed me. I don't know, it's probably a bit silly of me to think that I only had readers in like California, Washington, and Texas, but that was basically the idea I had for a long time. So it was really nice to see people buying them. I think I've sold 85, which is a good number to set when you're selling a calendar a week before Christmas and you're moving country, and you get it all wrong and you cut off the year at the bottom for the first 20 people who bought it in the UK. I'm really sorry about that. It doesn't change much, does it? You turn it over the first day and then boom, January. Nice. So keep going. Chicago, Illinois. My ex-girlfriend lived in Chicago for a while. North Yorkshire. Love Yorkshire. Mum and we all went there on holiday when we were kids. The calendar. So I think, is it Michelle? SD Michelove? I remember your name from the calendar order, but she says her calendar is hanging in her office where she can look over when she's writing. Hello from Greenville, South Carolina. I've probably mentioned this to you, Delisa, but my cousin got married in South Carolina. I have a connection to every place in the world except for the places I don't know. So Tennessee, I knew someone from Tennessee. Hello from Indiana. My ex-girlfriend's from Indiana. I'm going to keep going. South Carolina, just mentioned it. My cousin got married there. I'm going to get to one, obviously, that I don't know. Orange County, California. I have no connection to. Loads of friends in California. No, Orange County. I know the theme tune to the TV show. That's about it. Pennsylvania, my cousin went and did a football camp there in the summers, a couple of years in a row. Sue in Kent. Kent is about half an hour from here. Did I manage to get Fulham? It's Sue who also supports Crystal Palace. No, I didn't get Crystal Palace Fulham tickets because I'm taking my daughter up to see the Christmas lights in London, and we're going to go and see a show in London and a pantomime. So no, I decided not to. And after today, I'm really glad I didn't, because that was horrific. Really bad match. Hello from Florida. I've got friends in Florida, of course. Audrey, another regular. Good to see your handsome face. Oh, thank you. I did make the effort to shave and wash my hair for this grainy video call. So good. Your books are my happiest indulgence. Thank you very much, and thank you to all of you for such lovely messages that you always send about my books. It really is encouraging, especially at times like the last month where I haven't really had a deadline to meet rather. And so I've been doing the Marius book, and I've written, hang on, I'll tell you, it's quite embarrassing. In about, 20 days of trying, I've written 21,606 words. When if you think that the last 3 days of the last Lord Edgington novel, this is Mum's copy, The Alpine Christmas Mystery, I did 27,000 words. So I did like 10 and 10 and 7,000 words, and I've done 21,000 in a month of trying. And it's just before Christmas, I can't work very much anyway. And I did tell my editor that. I said, it's just not going to happen. But I do now have like 2 weeks to finish it after Christmas. So I then have to jump back onto that very focused, dedicated way of working. And I mean, at least I've got through. Often it's the early stages of the book that are difficult to write. So I really have to hope. And I'm really happy with the ideas in the book, and I think it's going to be really good. And it's also good because it's going to really push forward the Marius plot. There's 2 or 3 plot lines that sort of unrunning through the book, and that's after the Christmas one, which I really enjoyed, but which was sort of a pause because it was a Christmas book, and I think that was important. I am now looking forward to really advancing things and pushing them through. Randy, hello, Randy, my regular correspondent, who's very, very sweet and very nice, and I send me lovely pictures. I love feeling like a great aunt in your family. Oh, thank you. I mean, I have some wonderful great aunts, and you are very welcome, honorary member. Shelley Flannery, sorry, from Somers, New York. I mean, that sounds like a great place. I've been to New York City, Manhattan twice, but nowhere else in New York State. Sorry. Love your books. Happy and healthy New Year to you and your family, and to you, Shelley. Christmas wishes to you all from Cheryl Oakley, another well-known name in my Rolodex of readers. Love all the news of your growing family, especially enjoy your notes on your historical research. I will keep them coming. Maine, Mum, we've got family in Maine. Is that where?
Oh, it's in New Hampshire.
Where's Sue got their house? Well, sorry, where's Roz and Jim got their house? Okay, we got New England.
Jim are in New York.
No, but they got their house up on the like they got like a holiday house they go to all the time.
A place with a place that's famous for its autumns.
Yeah, New England. Yeah, I'm afraid I can't be more specific than that. But Mum's got cousins in who live in. We've got lovely cousins who live in Manhattan, and they've got a wonderful house up on the coast somewhere, which we haven't been to up in New England. So there you go, vague connections to everywhere. Alan, hello, Alan, one of the few male members of the audience. I will just stop reading all these messages and talk about something interesting. Ohio. Do I have a connection to Ohio? Well, my ex, who was from Indiana, Alan. She went to Xavier University, I think it is, in Ohio. So yes. Happy holidays from California, City, California. Thank you. Also, another from Ohio. I know the number of Lord Edgington novels take place during Christmas. Is that a favorite holiday of yours to write for? It seems so. I love the 15th novel that takes place in Kilston Down. Yes, I really liked. So someone was saying they love the Alpine Christmas mystery. Yes, I mean, I don't think if you haven't worked out this, I love Christmas now. the framing might give you a clue. The amount of Christmas decorations in this house is mad. So as I said, if anyone's missed it, I got here today. Often we spend Christmas here the whole time, but today was our late arrival because we spent Christmas in France with my in-laws this year. But if I do arrive before Christmas, it's a full-on project to get this very large house in South London ready to mine and my mother's, who I was not expecting to accompany through this call, but she is still here. High standards, and she is still hard at it, even though it is the 28th of December. But it's kind of like we're having a second Christmas now, so we're having a few friends over tomorrow for Christmas, like just a little informal party, and then my brother, who I will be talking about, who a lot of you know, is very ill with cancer, will hopefully be coming a few times. And so on the 31st, we're going to try and have a Christmas day and give presents and have a roast dinner. My mother and my brother Daniel was also very good cooks when it comes to roast dinner. So I absolutely love Christmas, and I have this obsession with trying to sort of recreate my own childhood Christmas for my kids. And I think especially Ossian, the little one, I think they love it. We do a lot of Christmas stuff. Emily, I think, just gets too tired if we do too much stuff. But yeah, I love Christmas. That's the short answer, and I'll be talking about that a little bit through the course of this. And you love Flick saying that she loved the previous Christmas book, which was the Christmas Candle Murders, right? Yeah, I like that. I really like that one as well because, of course, we got to see Chrissy at home. And I think there was probably a lot more of me in that book than any others even. I'm not Chrissy. I mean, I point that out every year. But I obviously share a lot of his thoughts, not his diet, as you can probably see. And so, all the stuff like me and Mum buying Christmas tree, that's me. Just getting the decorations down from the loft. What Albert did, that plan to try and make the house Christmassy. I've done that coming back from university, especially when I'd come back 5 days before Christmas. And there's been even worse times where I've come back even with my wife or with our kids, and we've got here, and through no fault of anyone but my brothers, there's been no Christmas tree and there's been no lights up, and they're just like, oh, you love doing that. We thought you'd be doing it on the 23rd of December when there's presents to wrap and stuff. So Albert did it for other reasons, but in that book, Chrissy's brother Albert goes all out to try and make the house as Christmassy as possible. So that was partly me, but also it's also about the idea, which I think I've already mentioned in the notes, that we all do that. We all do, people who love Christmas, it becomes a theatrical project. You feel like you have to dress the place to be an ideal. It's our own ideal. It's not anyone's fault. It's because we want it to be like that. But it's also this interesting pressure we put on ourselves. It's a bit like putting on a wedding every December. And I took the wedding. I approached the wedding my wedding in a very similar way as Marion, if she wasn't putting our kids to bed, would probably tell you. So in all the Christmas books, there's a lot of me more than in any other of the books. But then the Christmas Izzy book as well. There's an unpublished Christmas Izzy novella which was available for I think I can't remember if it's just a few months or a year, whatever, but I need to publish it eventually, which is something we don't get around. My experience as a child going up to see Father Christmas in department stores in London in Selfridges. So absolutely, there's always I've just written a thriller, and those characters aren't me. No, I mean hardly at all. But I would say that anyone, or at least my experience, most writers are going to use their own perspective to an extent. They're going to, it's going to be informed. It doesn't mean you can't write. I mean, if you've ever had the misfortune reading American Psycho, you have to hope that Bret Easton Ellis is nothing like Patrick Bateman, because if not, he should have been arrested, because it's one of the most horrible books I've ever read. Sorry, had nothing to it. But at the same time, I'm sure that that is the dark side of Bret Easton Ellis's personality, perhaps, or that's how he put himself in a frame of mind where he could imagine that nasty stuff. So I do think most of my books have a lot of me in without those people being me. That's kind of my way of saying it. All right, let's go through a few more comments. Praying for my brother. Yes, so Daniel is very, very ill. He's been having chemo for at least 2 years, and he'd had an operation before that seemed to have done the trick to cut it away, and then it got to the liver, and it feels like the doctors have given up on him several times, but he's so strong, and he pushes, and he finds a way, and he worked for the health service here for a long time, and he was working for them when he was diagnosed. And he is a manager, and it was his job to help nurses work better, not pushing people, not forcing them to follow rules, but finding ways to make things run more smoothly. So when he sees the dysfunction, it's not because of an individual doctor's fault or anything like that, but when he sees that even if no one could have ever saved him, if no one ever could still save him, he has this feeling that people just haven't treated it, the case correctly, in the sense that he wasn't diagnosed early enough, which is one thing. But furthermore, his treatment he's had has been rather cold and unfeeling, and so that's what's very hard for us, because he is so knowledgeable about that world, and so it's been very, very hard for us. He's been through several rounds of chemo, and we still pray, we still believe that he can get better, because day to day he seems great. He's exhausted now from the medicine he's on, but we have to hope that we believe in miracles. You have to believe in miracles when you go through something like this, and that's what we're hoping for. But I'm afraid I have no great news to share with you. But I do hope to. I'm really excited to be here this week to spend a lot of time with him, which is not something I'm always able to do. But I often come here and I book 20 different things to do. But we're here for 6 days, and most of that time I'm going to try and spend with my brother. Right. Where have we gone to? The skiing chapter in the Alpine book was the most hysterical thing I've read in a long time. Loved it. Actually laughing out loud and in tears. Thank you very much, Eva. Well, hopefully it's a treat for you. Hopefully not a chore. But I'm going to probably read that bit in a minute. So we'll see if you still like it. Because I didn't ever feel I quite got it right. And I'd like to kind of perform it to feel like the beats of the comedy are there. Because that, of course, was a huge scene. And it made me think this week about how in earlier books, excuse me, have a little drink, my brother Dominic, the other brother who lives here, made me a Negroni. And I don't want you all thinking that I'm an alcoholic, because this is possibly my 5th cocktail of the year, maybe 6th, because I did have quite a few of those rose cocktails. And someone else just said they had a rose cocktail. Where have I missed it? Has it gone? don't know where. It kind of displays in a weird order sometimes. Someone before said, whenever I read the Lord Edgington novels, I imagine his voice being like the voice of Jim Carter. Oh, Lord Edgington. Yeah, he plays Carson. Yeah, I know that. I've thought about that as well because Carson has that sort of false poshness, doesn't he? Which is he's got the deep voice as well. But yeah, I think Carson is supposed to sort of put on. I love Downton Abbey, by the way. I haven't seen the last 2 films, but I've seen everything before. Sorry, I was talking about. Okay, so yeah, thinking about the skiing scene, it was quite similar to the running scene in the second Lord Edgington book, A Body at a Boarding School. Sorry, I'm gonna have to sip of this. That's strong. Yeah. But the ice is there. So yeah, I like those kind of, where you get to see Chrissy really struggling rather than just getting better and better and better. So that's why I like the skiing scene. Someone says, it's Diane. Hello, Diane. This is another person I've heard from recently. I read and or listened to all of your Christmas books. Now I'm listening to the Edgington series. Totally enjoying them. Oh, that's funny. You came in through the Christmas books. I kind of like, I mean, that's another reason, it's more cynical, of course, but why I read the Christmas books, because I do think that people will take a chance on a Christmas book in a series where they might not just jump in a later book. So it's quite difficult because most of the time you're advertising the first book in a series, but with the Christmas books, I really do feel, that they're good introductions to characters. I'm sorry, you can probably tell I've got a bit of a blocked nose. So that's great to hear that you found the book, that you found them through the Christmas books. That's brilliant. John Gielgud would have made an excellent Lord Edgington. I won't be bringing him back from the dead, but yes, I do agree. I think that is... Yes, that's absolutely true. Will the Lord Edgington travel books be out on audio soon? Yes, people keep asking me. They absolutely will. It's just that my narrator, George Blagden, who is incredible, absolutely fantastic, is very busy. And I'm very busy. And each time I release an Edgington audiobook, I edit the book again. I'm the one who's checking the audio files. I mean, there's someone doing the actual editing, but I make sure that the finished version is correct. And then I still make corrections and get George to go back into the studio because I can't stand the idea of putting out those books, which is the final edit I can ever do, and having typos or having repeated phrases very close together and things like that. So obviously that's far too much control. With the Marius books, I have to give up that control because the audiobook comes out at the same time as the book, which means that I've only listened to the first one because I can't stand the idea of going, oh, I should have changed that. Oh, I missed that. Oh, no. However, all that being said, yes, George is going into the studio, I think mid-January and again mid-February to record what are they called? I've actually got a box full of my books here because someone just ordered the whole collection. And let's see. Look at this. Can you see? There you go. A box full of books. And so they contacted me from Norway and they asked, well, this camera's kind of got that weird zooming thing. They asked how they could buy my books affordably in paperback for their daughter as a birthday present. And I said, and I looked into it, and they live in Norway, so I looked where the closest Amazon was, which was Germany, and it ended up being incredibly expensive with the postage and everything. And they said, oh well, we'll be spending Christmas in London, and they said, and then he gave me the address of where they're staying, and it's literally like 7-minute walk from here. And so I'm going to be on the 2nd of January. I'm going to be taking those books to the man's daughter in Carshalton, which is hilarious. Yeah, I'm going to be giving them to her on her birthday. So that's nice. What was I talking about? Okay, so George, we're going into the studio for the first book is Murder in an Italian Castle and Death on the Night Train to Verona. And then we've already kind of scheduled the Christmas book. But the thing is, he's doing a traveling play. And so there's not really any hurry to get the Christmas book out. I don't know whether I'm going to try and jump ahead. I've always kind of held back the Christmas audiobooks until Christmas, but I guess maybe it's better to just push ahead. I don't know. It's a discussion I've been having myself for several years. Is my calendar still available? Yes. I can, if you email me, I can give you a link, or it's probably still on my Facebook or in the previous email, depending on which version you got. California. Hello, California. Again, a few people from California here. Fan from Eastern Shore of Maryland. I've got other. Oh, Cheryl. Yeah, we've had emails from you. And Yeah, lots. I know I have lots of readers in Maryland. Believing and praying. Thank you to Delisa. Sorry. Love to my brother. Thank you. Can your brother come to the US for treatment? I mean, it's something we're looking into, but he is going to a very good hospital. So the treatment he's getting is great. It's more the sort of pastoral care that's been really lacking. And he's barely ever seen the same doctor. Can you imagine that in 2 years? He's had no one following his case. He's had no one to guide him through it. There's a number he can call if there's a problem, but I'd never realized that was a thing. And so he was pushing and pushing to just have an appointment with his consultant to find out what happens next. And they kept saying, yeah, you've got an appointment booked in with your consultant. And then, of course, you go and it was the consultant's clinic and the consultant's not there. It's just their clinic, just their name on it, sort of thing. And so eventually he had to make a complaint. And 45 minutes later, he got an appointment with the consultant and he went to see her last week and she was very helpful and we're feeling a lot more positive than we were 2 weeks ago. But it shouldn't be like that. I mean, there has to be a way to feel you're getting the attention you need for the situation you're in. He's 46 as well, and he worked for the healthcare service for 15, 20 years at the real tough end, at the coalface of mental health nursing until he moved up into management. But for at least 15 of those 20 years, he was working, he worked on wards. He worked even before he trained as a nurse. He was working on mental health wards as a sort of, orderly. I'm not sure that's the word we'd use in Britain, but it's a word I know from American TV. And so he's given so much to the health service, and we really believe in the health service in Britain. It's public, which means that your taxes pay for it. And I believe that all countries should have that because that's what we have in Spain, and it works and it's fair, and we all pay into it. I'm very lucky to pay a lot of taxes, and I love it. I love paying taxes because I know that money, not all of it, and we live in a rubbish world where people are greedy and all that kind of stuff. But I want to help hospitals. I want to help schools. I believe in that. So I don't want to complain about the NHS. It's a beautiful idea, and the Spanish healthcare system is absolutely based on it. Inspired by it, and it works well. But there are problems, of course, political problems. Anyway, I'm not meaning to preach about that kind of stuff. Love to my brother. So yes, I mean, like, it's something we would consider looking into, but again, like visas and stuff like that, it's complicated. Maybe Germany, maybe another place, but we're looking into all these different things. My heart goes out to you, brother. Thank you, Laura. Milton Keynes in Buckingham, not too far away from here. Hope one of the future Lord Edgington Investigates Abroad novels will have him and Christopher in France with Christopher's parents. I hope that Christopher's crush will be in it. I don't think it's giving too much away to say that is exactly what's happening in the book after next. Boom. Yes. So they're going to be Bordeaux. No, I don't mean Bordeaux. I mean Burgundy. So the next book's happening in Burgundy, where we were last summer, and I've got permission from a beautiful vineyard. If you've seen, I can show you it actually. If you've seen the back of the book, you will see. I don't know if I can find it quickly, but it is here. It's a lot at the back of the book these days, isn't it? It's got longer and longer. It just never ends these days. Wasn't intentional, just how it happened. Almost there. And not many people have maybe paid attention to this. So that's the next. Whoa, you see? The next book is called, and I didn't even remember. I'm not very good at angling. I'm not very good at, it's like you have to do the reverse movement. There you go. The Case of the Burgundy Vineyard. And you see that. Oh, no, that one. It's all backwards. That is a real vineyard in Burgundy, which we drove past, and it was just so pretty. We'd already seen it online, but we drove past and we weren't planning to stop, but we stopped because it was just so beautiful. And we talked to the very, very nice man there. It's called Ardui. And the wine is very expensive, and we bought a cheap one. My American friends were with me, they bought a fancy one, but we got to try some of the fancy ones, and they are incredible. Classic red Burgundy. So that's going to be the first one. That's going to be Lord Edgington Chrissy. And then they're going on to Paris. So there's going to be 3 or 4 books in France this year, hopefully 4, but you never know. I don't know if I'm going to try and write another thriller, or I'm just going to do a couple of Mariuses and 4 Edgingtons. I mean, 6 books. Yes, when they get to Paris, definitely. I think both parents. And yeah, definitely both parents are going to be there. Not Albert, because you just had him, and you just can't have too many characters in one go. And yes, Cassara, the girl, will be featuring in some way. I really don't know how I'm going to fit everything in. I don't know how I'm going to fit that into a mystery, but I know the mystery as well. And it's a mystery I've been wanting to write for years. It was originally going to be an Izzy story, which is the only time I've stolen from Izzy. But I don't know how Cassara is going to fit in that story. I don't know how she's going to fit in the rest of the story. I just thought he needed to go. People kept telling me he needed a girlfriend, so I listened to them, and now I don't really know what's going to happen with it. So fingers crossed it works out. Hello from North Carolina. We've had South Carolina and North Carolina. Hello, might be Anne. Yeah, Anne, I think. Susan says, have you ever thought about putting out a Lord Edgington compendium? Do you mean just like selling a series of books in one go? We have done the first box set of the first 3, but it's just the problem is that we have 2 little children, and my wife is my graphic designer, and we could pay people to do it, but then that would involve me taking time to delegate, and as we've already discussed, I'm not very good at that. I'm very good at sitting down and writing books. I mean, you can discuss the quality of the books yourself, but I'm very good at sitting down and completing books, let's say that. I do most of the marketing. I write all the newsletters. I know loads of people who are paying other people to do it. I just don't know how I would. How would I pay someone to write those ridiculous, stupid, long newsletters, or write the bits at the back of my book, or write, or even my Facebook posts? It's so obviously me. I think everyone would notice and go, he's paying someone to do it. And also I'd have to then come on here and admit it, wouldn't I? So yeah. Compendium, yes, we do plan to release the whole first series and then eventually the second series in 3 book sets so that people can sort of catch up more quickly. I think for Kindle Unlimited, people love that. We'll see. Haven't listened to any of the books yet. Wondering if Lord Edgington's voice would be so different than what I've imagined. Well, because the thing is, George, who does the narration, does brilliant, a variety of voices. And so his Lord Edgington is fantastic for me. It's absolutely perfect. You remember that I tried to record it. I spent about a month trying to record it. And the one comment that my wife Marion had to make was, I don't think Lord Edgington's voice is deep enough. So I went even deeper. It didn't sound very good. So when I chose George as the narrator, he actually sent me 4 different versions of Lord Edgington's voice, because I'd mentioned that basically that it needs to be quite deep. And I chose the version, and I think it's absolutely perfect because his own voice is very warm and sweet, and he does. I mean, I remember also listening to the first 5 minutes the first time with my in-laws who don't. I mean, my father-in-law's English is fine. My mother-in-law understands English well, but she doesn't speak a lot. And we put on George's first chapter of the first book, and we generally couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that there weren't women recording the female parts. He is excellent at changing the voices. So I hope that Lord Edgington, George is beautifully enunciated and warm and rounded. Lord Edgington would fulfill anyone's expectations. I've never heard anyone say, no, that doesn't fit at all. I think he's amazing. And that's made it very difficult to choose an actor, or rather an actress, for Izzy Palmer, because George was so good. I approached someone this year. I mean, it's not a problem to say. I approached an actress called Tamsin Gregg, who I absolutely love, and she did consider it. But I don't blame her for saying no, partly because, of course, she is 30 years older than Izzy. So it's a bit of a weird, perhaps it's a weird proposal to put to her. But she just said no a couple of weeks ago. So I've approached a younger actress, and we'll see. I haven't heard anything back yet. I don't know if the agent even got it or she's represented by that agent anymore, but not as well known an actress, but someone who I think is a very good comic actress. So we'll see. I won't say anything until yes or no comes in. Hello Benedict, hello Helena, another person I've met in person, some from just very near here. Helena here, I've been on here since 9, couldn't find the comments. Oh, never mind, there they are. Burgundy and Paris coming, yes. And then so if you want to know, so then it will be Burgundy, Paris, Bordeaux, where we stayed last year, and then I'm trying to find like a Christmassy village or snowy village somewhere near there, or there is a monastery we stayed at. It's pretty beautiful, but I need a snowy picture for the cover, so that makes it a bit trickier. But that's France, and then Spain will be the following year. Albert is hysterical. Thank you, Alan. Yeah, I think he is funny. I think people found him. Maybe people were worried he was going to get annoying early on, but I think he's so like, you can feel so sorry for him. Sorry, I just moved the cable. That you can't not like him, really. I mean, you can't hate him. I think there was, the books before his wedding were a bit like, you kind of probably felt a bit like he was too much, but I've come to really like Albert, and I think his humility eventually, when he admits his mistakes, is great. And I think there's something most people lack. Like, he does stupid things. We all do stupid things, but he admits it, and I think I think that's perfect. More thrillers, please. Have you read? I can't remember, Andy. Are you in my? Yeah, you are in my ARC team. So yeah, you'll have read the first thriller. It's not quite out yet, so I will try and write another one soon. I've got a really good idea for a second one, actually. If I may ask, is there a reason why Christmas Birthday was never shown in any of the Edgington novels so far? I ask because I've been interested in seeing one of his birthdays to be celebrated. There is a reason, and that's that we basically release the books. Rather, I set the books when they're going to be released, almost always. Obviously, if I my Christmas books I release in middle of November, but it's still the sort of the right time of year. So I decided, so that I wouldn't forget when Chris's birthday was, that it would be the same birthday that would be. And so we're always on holiday around my birthday in the middle of August. So that's the reason, because I'm always on holiday, so I'm not publishing books. That's it. But I could definitely do one of the earlier ones. Like, I could do the pre-summer release. I could set it later in the summer. That wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, so maybe we'll see his birthday one day. Cynthia, hello Cynthia, another name I know well. I'm glad to be here today. I like the newsletters. Thank you. How sweet to hear my name. Anne again. Love Izzy's mum and her manager too. Yeah, I miss the Izzy books, I have to admit. Like, when I was writing the last couple, when I was deep into the Lord Edgington series, and I was still releasing the odd Izzy book, they did feel like a bit of a holiday, because I didn't have to do the research. The notes in the back weren't quite so arduous, and I do love all that stuff for Edgington. But when you suddenly have less work to do, it's a nice feeling. And as I say every year, I don't think, as not everyone loves Izzy. That's fine. I know they're far quirkier, they're far weirder. Perhaps the humor's more obviously like oddly British, or more like British alternative comedy in a way. I mean, I just think of them as silly rom-coms in a way, mainly. But I do understand that they're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And also, I found a readership, which doesn't mean it's any of you lot on here, but I do think that the general readership for the Lord Edgington novels, or for the Marius Quin, or for Karen Bourne-Menuhin's books, or Verity Bright's, these kind of books, these kind of wholesome 1920s cozy mysteries, I do think it's quite a simple idea I'm offering, which is everything I just said. Whereas the Izzy books are hard. Probably you don't know what you're getting. They're kind of kooky and crazy. There's a lot of mad characters who aren't ever going to be even suspects, just hanging around in the background. So it helped having Downton as a touchstone for the Edgington books. That really, especially in the early days, being able to advertise that worked a lot. That worked really well. And it gives people an immediate way into the books, and of course Agatha Christie as well. So yes, I do miss all those crazy people who Izzy hangs out with, and I do still get nice emails from people. I just had one. I haven't had a chance to read it, but see, I'll tell you. I'll read the subject title. I've got a lot of emails. Whoops. It was. I can't see it. Don't know. I've had too many emails. Basically, someone was saying, how they absolutely loved a particular scene in Izzy, and that's nice, because I haven't published those books for, was it 18 months, or maybe even 2 years, like now the last book came out, and they're still bubbling along in the background. They don't ever make millions, but oh, that was the headline. Is like that someone said, I can't understand how Netflix haven't made Izzy Palmer into a into a series, because they're the detective today. Hello, my wife.
I need to get an egg.
Oh, you're gonna get a sneak look at my beautiful waving, running past wife as she runs to get an egg from the conservatory. You may not see any more than that. She's quite shy. She's not going to
be a big person. Sorry.
To be fair, she's in her pajamas, so okay, let's keep going. I will read a bit in a moment. Let me just try and get through a few more messages, and then I'll do a little bit of a chapter. What language do you speak at home? You have quite an international family. So at home, I speak English to my children and to my wife, and Marion, who you just saw, speaks French to them, and they answer perfectly, like perfectly. What I mean is, like, they are very much, because we've done it since they were born, keyed into responding in the right language. Often we'll be having lunch and I'll be the only one speaking English, and they'll be speaking French. but that's because I'm working all the time and Marion's with them far. I mean, I'm there. I'm not at them all the time, but like because I work so much, because I write so many books, French is the dominant language in the house, understandably. But I mean, you wouldn't believe. So that's French and English in the house, and then in outside the house at school, and Ocean is not quite 3, so he goes to a childminder with 3 or 4 other tiny little cuties. You would not believe how they adapt the language. So they speak Spanish outside the home, and it was really funny because about a month ago we had Spanish friends come to the house, and we had never heard Ocean, who is shy when he's with people he doesn't know and a little chatterbox the rest of the time. We'd never heard him speak a word of Spanish, right? So these Spanish friends who he immediately took a liking to come, and he just starts chatting away in like fluent Spanish, like not just like the odd word and pointing or anything like that. Like he speaks Spanish. He's almost 3, and they're both trilingual, and of course much better than my Spanish and French, and probably better than my English. Let's be honest. And so that was really funny. And then the other day I went to his childminder and I stayed to read a book, and it was funny because he sat down on the childminder's lap, and her son is also in the class, and so they both sort of sat on the childminder's lap, and then the other 2 kids kind of lumped themselves on top of her as well. So these 4 little kids, like all on her lap, whilst I was reading this book, and then he was commentating on it in Spanish, like, and so it's so strange. So to hear, because he won't even say hola, he won't even like he's really, really shy when he doesn't know people, and so they are all trilingual, yeah. I so look forward to the after story section of your books. It like getting a bonus story and makes me feel like a friend to whom you are speaking. Thank you for the extra treat. Yeah, yeah, the back bits are very important. They become longer and longer. And I think, like I was thinking about this recently. Like I think the reason they started was the idea that I wanted to show that some of the unlikely stuff was true. Like I mean, I couldn't get over the technology there was in the 20s that we would imagine is so much more recent. Vacuum cleaners looked very, very similar. There's a vacuum cleaner I think that I mentioned. So so vacuum cleaner that they had in the 20s, which is basically the same as one that was still selling in my childhood. Is this sort of thing, this big barrel, that sort of big sort of canvas bag that sort of clips together at 2 ends. And I remember seeing them when I was a kid. I was like, how is that possible? How was that already around? So there was that side of it. But there was also, my interest in history. My mum, who some of you would have seen at the beginning of the call, was a history teacher. I just asked her actually for 46 years. I always said 50, but I think 46. I think was full time, and then I think she went on for like another 8 part time. And she only stopped when COVID hit because she was ill and she had a knee problem. So she's 80. She's 82, and she was still working until about 77, 78. And so she instilled in me this love of history. And I really found, because, a lot of the stuff that I include now isn't necessarily, it's not even obvious how it's directly relevant. So it's got to a point where I just include all the stuff I found really, really interesting. And I'm sure there's stuff that doesn't really need to be in there, but I love it. And so sorry if it waffles too much. Sue Healy, not Steve Thompson, by the way. Okay. It's often confusing. I get quite a lot of emails from people who presumably have email accounts with their husbands or sons or something's name, and it'll be like, I'd be like, oh, it's nice, another male reader, and then at the end it will say from Jenny. So Sue Healy, not Steve Thompson, by the way. Sorry I'm late. Hope you're all okay. Yep, having a great time. Thanks, Sue. Absolutely lovely. Izzy, thank you, Julie Clark. Reba, again, someone who's just emailed me. Yes, the after story is the best. Thank you so much for making us all your friend. Yeah, I do. I mean, I have a very warm feeling towards my readers. I think it'd be an easy thing to fake, but it isn't fake. I can honestly say that in all the time I've been publishing, which is 6 years now, 6 years last month, I've had about, let's say, 7 or 8 horrible emails. And I realized I used to share them with another author. Sorry if that's a horrible thing in me, but it helps you feel better when when you talk over something that upsets you. And I realized that I shared 3, and my friend Suzanne said 3 of these, over the course of like a year. She was like, I know that name. I hadn't realised that 3 of them were the same person, and it wasn't. I mean, I'm not sure that the person was trying to be horrible, but they just had a very fixed idea. My brother just walking past. They just, people have a very fixed idea of what they want from books. And I had one a couple of months ago, and I actually replied saying, "I'm sorry, but I don't really feel you should talk to me that way because I'm working really hard. I will work 14-hour days when I have to, get a book done in the last sort of few days before. I mean, I'm probably stopped to go and take my kids and pick up my kids and have lunch, but that might be it. I might be working till 11 o'clock at night occasionally. I publish 6 books a year on average. I'm trying really hard, not just to provide for my family, but to keep up with the expectations, because it would be a lot easier to just be like drop down to 3 Edgingtons every year and 1 Marius or something like that. That'd be much easier, but that would mean sort of missing out bits of the story. So I'm really committed to giving people those books because that's what people want. And so I think it's fine. I'm absolutely open to constructive criticism, and I've taken a lot of it on board. And people have made suggestions, or in previous calls like this, or sending me emails saying, "I'd really like to see this," or I think that would work really well. And I'm open to that kind of thing. But if someone's saying the last one was rubbish, I was so disappointed, or I can't remember, that's paraphrasing. I think, as I said, that's happened so infrequently, maybe 7 or 8 times. I feel like what you're really saying is that that's your perspective. It's not, and I can. So I reply saying, have a look at the reviews on Amazon. I mean, I have no problem with you thinking that. You're very much entitled to think of that. But it's not it's not a common opinion. If I if all the reviews were going, the ratings were going way down, and I was phoning it in, and the quality had deteriorated, I would accept that and I would admit it and I'd try and do something to fix it. But I think there's a certain, and I'm not accusing anyone of this, and I have to say the person, I don't remember the name of the person, and if you're there, I'm really sorry if I've taken it out of context, and I did apologize myself as well. But they sent back a reply saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't really think that would affect, hurt your feeling." And I did say in the email, I said, I'm very thick-skinned when it comes to criticism. That's one thing I did learn doing a master's in creative writing. I think it was the best thing I learned doing a master's, was just how to take feedback, even if it's negative, even if you think it's too much, and I said, but there are plenty of authors who are so upset by bad reviews, and I totally understand. I'm not criticizing them at all. I'm saying, like, you have to be sensitive to people, and I would never write to someone saying, who I like, saying, and this is a common thing online now anyways, this has taken over our culture. I mean, I've got a Crystal Palace fan, it's the football team I support. If you go on the Crystal Palace online forums, or any online forums, I mean, like, the Archers, I listened to the BBC radio drama The Archers, which is one of the sweetest, silliest, cutest, naffest things in the world. And the Reddit thread is just people laying into it. It's like, well, why do you listen to it for an hour a week? If you hate it so much, just stop. And so this need to communicate hatred and criticism, if it isn't constructive, I'm just not interested. So this all comes back to the idea. Yes, I really like my readers. I really, really do. Not least because you've changed my life. Like, we had no money whatsoever 6 years ago when we published. We were running out of money. We had to borrow 3,000 from my in-laws, and it was COVID had just hit, and we didn't know what, neither of us had any work. And then people started reading the Izzy books. We got through that first year. Second year, we published Lord Edgington, and they really took off. And we bought our house last year, and it's tiny, and we need a big one. But I don't know where we were earning no money. Spain is very, very difficult to make any money, and I've been trying to write books for years and years, trying to write kids' books for years and years without getting anywhere, because people wouldn't take a chance on me. And now, if I wanted to get those books published, I'm almost certainly could. In fact, an agent came to me recently. And so, things have changed totally, and it's because of you. And I'm always genuine when I say how much I appreciate everything, all the nice feedback I get, and all the emails. And yeah, that's important to me. Sorry, jump through again. The story is the best bit. Really love all the extras. Did you take inspiration from Murder on the Orient Express for Death on the Night Train to Bowler? Sounds like you did. Well, yes and no. I mean, yes, obviously, Murder on the Orient Express created almost its own mini genre of train-based murder mysteries, but she'd already done 2, I think, at least, murder mystery set on train. There's the Murder on the Blue Train, which I don't think I'd read. Like, I'm like 99% sure I hadn't read. But then I started reading it when I had my books sketched out because I was aware there was an important train book that I hadn't done, and I was very nervous that I'd stolen something from the plot. In the end, it didn't turn out that way. But like halfway through, I was like, oh my goodness, what if this mystery is just like, what if the twists are just identical? So I rang up my friend in Seattle and I said, please, Jason, when you go on the Wikipedia page and read it through and check that I haven't, that my ending isn't too similar to that ending. And he did it for me. And he's like, yeah, he did it, but then he was a bit worried, so he checks on an online forum. Can anyone tell me if they're having trouble seeing me? It says it's okay now. Sorry if that's okay. So yeah, so I ate some broccoli and it got stuck in my throat. And amazing, lovely Jason, who I'm very, very fond of, he gave me the Heimlich maneuver and saved my life. I haven't told anyone, any of the readers, that yet. And I said, the first thing I said when I saved lives, I said, Jason, first thing, get a person to stand up over, bent over slightly so that the food doesn't go backwards. Back slaps first before the Heimlich. But he did the Heimlich and it saved my life. And I'm very, very grateful. And I keep telling him how happy I am. What was I rambling on about before that? Don't remember. Let's go to the next point. As a historian who does a lot of research for my books, I always appreciate the information you put in after the story. Thanks. Yeah, I don't tend to. I mean, I do some historical research before, but I do a rolling sort of process of historical research where I look up stuff because I don't plan my books except for who the murderer will be, the setting. That's pretty much all I know, and sometimes the murderer changes halfway. But I love like fishing out little details, and obviously I've got a decent knowledge of the period now. Terrific. They grow up trilingual, the kids. Yeah, I envy that. I'm in the middle of Marius Quin right now. I think these books get better with each one. Do you need some time to get to know your characters? I think with the Marius books, I've said this before, it was difficult to write that first one because it was a very busy year. I think that might be my 7-book year, which is the most I've ever done. And I had a baby in the house. When Ossian was born, or maybe it was just before, I was contacted by a wonderful, wonderful person called Emily, who is another of my favorite people. And she had read the first Lord Edgington book, and she's just starting out Storm Books, so she's been in publishing for a while, but she just moved to a company which her former boss had set up called Storm, and her boss is a very cool guy called Oliver Rhodes, who's very influential in publishing and set up one of the first digital publishers. Anyway, so she'd read the first Lord Edgington, loved it, and she amazed me by continuing to read my Lord Edgington books, which she doesn't have to. And she suggested I write another series for them. And the reason I decided to work with a publisher when I hadn't been working with one before was simply because Emily is one of the nicest people I've ever met, and I would do anything to get a chance to chat with her 3 times a month and send her silly WhatsApp messages because she's just so nice. And we've become really good friends, and she knows the kids and she knows Marion, and I've met her fiance, now husband, a couple of times. We went across to France to see them, and Britain. And so I started the Marius books for a chance to work with those 2 great, great people. Oliver was also interesting. I'd seen him talking before. And I wanted to create something that was difficult in the early stages. I wanted to create a character who isn't necessarily immediately lovable, but who has all this work. That, because you need a plot arc, but you also need to be able readers to be able to jump in and enjoy a mystery each time. So with Chrissy, the plot arc is simply that he's getting older and maturing and learning about the world. So there are no spoilers. Like from book to book, Lord Edgington, there's stuff with Albert. Like, I mean, I don't even give it away here, but there's definitely that big thing with Albert. Most of you will know. But I've found a way to get around that mainly. With Marius, it's his maturation going, but it's not. I think people are like, oh, he's selfish, he's lazy, he's greedy, he's capitalist, or not the capitalist, materialist, sorry. And I said, no, he's not. He's been through a war. He almost got his head blown off. He saw his friends murdered, and he's come back and he doesn't know what to do. And he's still in love with a person, but at the same time, by falling back in love with her, he's investing everything in her. And I think the first book probably doesn't show the best side of Marius Quin. And I agree that the characters become stronger with each book, and I'm really enjoying this new one I'm writing, even if I'm doing it so slowly. I did 200 words yesterday when I thought I'd be doing like 5,000. So I love character development. I love that. If I, and this is why I guess Christie got bored of Poirot. Poirot doesn't change. Hastings doesn't change much. She really didn't like Poirot. I guess most of you know that, but sorry, try and drink again. I can't breathe through my nose for some reason. So I think Marius is a really strong character, and I think if you gave up on after the first book, more fool you. No, just simply that I think it deserves. I think as the story progresses, you're going to see why that was. Terrific. I was remiss in not sending hope and my best wishes to your brother. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Please do tell him there are people around the world who are pulling for him. Love from Ohio. Yeah, I do forward on particularly nice messages I get. I mean, when I told my newsletter readers about Daniel, I got 250 emails. Something. It's lovely, and we read them all, and I forwarded a lot of them onto Daniel, and I talk to him about it regularly. And there's people who stay in contact, and I really appreciate it. That we've had some hard times, especially just before last Christmas, but again a couple of months ago. It's been, excuse me, my nose is still blocked. It's been there's been despair. My mum has been through so much, and my brother, of course, but it's been really hard. And those messages meant a lot, really a lot. I don't have a big social group in Spain who I talk to about sensitive stuff very much, so it feels like I got support from you guys, so thank you. I'm not making that. I'm not saying nice things for the sake of that's true. Best wishes and prayers for your brother's journey to better health. Thank you, Priscilla. I'm sorry, extremely busy all the time. I hope you're not burnt out for working hard as you do. No, I'm very lucky that I haven't had any burnout. I know several authors who have. I really love doing my job. I think that's the basic thing of it. Also, what I've done is I've managed to create a situation where my deadlines are soft. So I'm never forcing myself into things. Like I don't, the one reason I don't do pre-orders is because I saw what impact that would have. I had a friend who was like, I'm going to set up, 6 book series. I know I'm going to be able to release one every 3 months or 2 months, and I'm going to be able to. Then I'm going to build my readership, blah blah blah. And he did 2 or 3, and he was completely burnt out because the expectation was too high, and he hadn't really necessarily known how fast he could write. And I am lucky; I can write very fast. I don't use AI. I don't use any ghostwriters. I've never done any of that. And I get those books written when I've got the pressure on, and so the pressure helps. Obviously it could come to a point, and family situation and other stuff feeds into that, where it could be too much. But I'm lucky to be able to say, okay, I see that I'm going to need an extra 2 weeks for this book. I see that I'm not working fast enough. But for example, the one, which I'm going to now stop and read that bit of, this one, heard me saying that it took me 16 days, literally 16 days of sitting in front of a computer to write it. And I had to do that because Christmas was coming, and there's no point releasing a Christmas book at the end of December, or even sort of middle of December, because you need. It's my most successful period of year, and those previous 6 Christmas books come back, and they're still really popular. But the new one has to be released sort of mid-November, ideally. I think this one maybe came 20th of November, which is fine. But if it could be the beginning of November, that'd be amazing. But I had to get it written, so I did. So yeah, no, burnout hasn't been a problem. Fingers crossed. Don't pay attention to the negative Neds and Nellies. I don't. All right, they're jealous of your talent. It's still a shock though when you have someone being so rude to you in an email when they even admit to liking your books. It's a bit odd. Have still got both the latest Lord Edgington novels to read due to a very hectic few months. I'll let you off. No trouble. Steve's real name is Sue. Sorry, Sue. Yeah, Sue. Yeah, no pressure. People often apologise for not reading the books quick enough. There's no calendar or anything. Can't wait. This is my escape to another world. Thank you, Sue. And Christine says, even Christy borrowed the idea for the Express from the Limburg case. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we all take inspiration from different places. Of course, the case in that book is very close to the Limburg case, which she acknowledged. I've introduced your Lord Edgington books to several other friends, and now sharing one at a time, like a lending library. Oh, that's very nice. I mean, and I as a former library worker, I heartily approve. Marius is human and is developing nicely. Thank you, Reba. Hope he keeps solving murders while he grows and matures, which he is. Yeah, I think perhaps more difficult in the Marius books was to establish Bella as a character. She was a bit too much of an archetype early on, and I said that to my editor. And in the first book, she's got the emotion of responding to it. Lorraine, how you doing? My mother's just come back in, and my wife with some eggs.
I see.
It's a parade. It's a parade. Okay.
Did you tell your lovely friends that we had the night before Christmas in plate form?
No, I didn't tell them that, Mum. No, I'm not going to tell them anything about your collection
Don't
of
tell them
plates.
about.
Okay, sorry.
But,
Right.
but anybody in America would love it. It's American, isn't it?
Fine. I will show everyone your plates, Mother. Here you go, everyone. Before I do my raiding, here's Mum's collection of who they made by?
A good British company, I think.
A good British company.
Probably owned by China.
Of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, made by Port Marion, is it?
Port Marion,
yes. Which Welsh, isn't it?
Well, Port Marion is Welsh, yes.
There you go.
Chinese.
All right, enough discussion of my mother's Christmas plates. I will now read a little bit of the last book, and then you can ask me questions. So whilst I'm reading, I won't be able to see your comments for a while because I'm going to be looking at the book, the document on my screen. But you will be able to ask me questions. So I'm just going to read the skiing scene, if I can speak. For anyone who hasn't read it, this is spoiler free. All you need to know is that Chrissy has climbed up the side of a mountain, obviously, with Lord Edgington and Todd, the driver. Excuse me, wife. Why don't you keep your eggs somewhere else, wife? When I'm on a call with my readers, ha! Love you. So he climbs up the side of the mountain, and he gets to the top, completely exhausted, and he's supposed to ski down, which is obviously a very silly idea for Chrissy to do, but that's the kind of thing that Lord Edgington thinks is perfectly okay. And it's the kind of thing that my wife Marion thinks is perfectly okay. Because my wife Marion is an exceptional skier and ice skater. She was she was in the national championships in ice skating in France, and she did it for 15 years, and she's amazing. So when I started dating her, and I never skated or skied in my life, and I suddenly had to do all these winter sports, she thought it was completely normal to just push me down a mountain. And so there is a lot of autobiography in the scene. So he gets to the top of the mountain, he overhears two women talking. Again, there's no real spoilers in this. And he doesn't want to be found out that he's overheard them. So he decides, what can he do? This is it. And I'm going to read. They were getting closer, and I was sure they'd notice me. I didn't want them to think that I was eavesdropping, and so the time had come for me to descend the mountain. I realised then that standing up with skis on your feet is far more difficult when there is no one to lend a hand. I rolled onto my front, but that meant the pointed end of my skis dug into the snow. I looked as though I were attempting some complicated... Oh, my nose is going I should probably run out. Like, sorry. I looked as though I were attempting some complicated physical exercise. Using the poles that were on loops of fabric around my wrists, I pushed myself back to my original position and pulled the trunk of my body towards my knees. With my hands behind me, I did my very best to propel myself up to standing, but this did not go as I had intended. Still down on my haunches, I began to slide towards this dramatic incline. There was a clear point of no return a few yards in front of me, and though I tried to slow myself with my gloved hands, I could get no purchase and ended up accelerating towards 99% guaranteed doom. And so, as I tipped over the edge of the steep mountainside, I thought, total fool was putting it mildly, Christy. You really are the king of the dunces. The wind whistled in my ears like a choir of marmots, and the wind attacked me so violently that I felt I should be going up the mountain, not down it. I tried to reduce my speed by turning as Todd had taught me, but that was no good as my legs were trapped in place under my bottom. It turned out that grandfather was right about the knees after all. They really are important when it comes to skiing. I waved to the two ladies as I passed, but I should probably have screamed for help. Sunday looked particularly surprised to see me sliding down an alpine valley like a man who'd been taken short before he could reach a lavatory. I thought I might at least be able to fall over, but I was headed straight down the mountain, and it was almost impossible to veer from the course I was on. All I could do was grab hold of my skiing sticks and push on the ground to force myself up to full height. And you know what? It worked! And you know what else? I was now worse off than I had been before. I still couldn't control my bullet-like descent and was far more likely to end up in hospital than I had been when my centre of gravity was at ground level. The one good thing I could say was that I was steady on my skis. I kept imagining them splintering out from under me and taking my severed feet with them. Yet somehow, despite that remaining a possibility, it felt a great deal easier than anything I'd tried with Todd. I couldn't understand why we hadn't practiced this more direct method of skiing from the beginning. The only drawback was that I was going so fast, it would be the teeniest bit difficult to stop. I cast my eyes further down the mountain to see whether this was anything which might aid me whether there was anything which might aid me in this endeavour. Ideally, I would have liked a large pile of fluffy snow positioned somewhere flat so that I could glide straight into it and come to a gentle stop. I imagined it being a refreshing experience. It was certainly a much better idea than flying off the cliff in front of the hotel. There was a raised bank just before the precipitous 100-foot drop. At the speed. Oh, sorry, I'll start that again. There was a raised bank just before the precipitous 100-foot drop, but at the speed I was travelling, that would merely have functioned as a launch ramp to make my, what's the opposite of death-defying? Death-incurring final flight all the more dramatic. Although I couldn't find the snowy safety net that I required, I did catch sight of my dear grandfather. He was standing at the point where I had first learnt to ski all that time ago. I was too far away to see his face clearly, but I knew the expression on it only too well. "Oh, dear me, what's Christopher up to now?" it surely said. "It looks like he's misjudged this whole thing and is about to plunge to his death." Todd could only look on as I ducked my head to stop the wind lashing my cheeks and found myself going even faster. He was normally so good at helping me avert disaster, but I had finally used up all my lives. The workmen who had mocked me earlier actually looked sympathetic now, and they'd replaced the pipe in a jiffy, so well done them. As I approached the bottom of the piste and prepared myself for oblivion, the only possible solution that presented itself was to bear away from the hotel on the path that we had taken from the mountain railway the day before. It was a very narrow walkway between two jagged rocky outcrops, and I wasn't sure that I could make it, but it was a better option than the death leap. "I love you, grandfather. You've been awfully kind to me these last 5 years," I yelled as I passed. But I was going so quickly, it probably sounded like, "Grandfather, you've been awful." I managed to angle my body towards the route I needed, and to my, and surely every other person there's disbelief, I started to turn. I wanted to close my eyes and hope for the best, but I knew that would make my unlikely feat even more difficult to achieve. So I focused on my objective and willed myself not to perish. The 3 young children stood with their mouths agape, pointing and laughing in my direction. And as I glided quite serenely to the very spot I needed, I felt like shouting, "Take that, you bunch of toddlers! Who's the best skier now?" That's Chrissy being a bit mean to some young kids. But of course he didn't say that. He didn't really mean it. All right. Let's see what we've got. That's my attempt at some acting. Hope you liked it. I hope you could hear me. Goodness me, if I just cut off, then that would have been bad. Let's see. I'm laughing all over again. Love that very descriptive passage. Thank you. Right, please send me any questions you have right now. Keep it coming. Generally, we finish this off with questions. You can ask me literally anything. I mean, let's keep it clean, people. But I will answer any questions. Let's see. Since Christopher spoke in a previous novel of what employment he would pursue, since he doesn't get paid as a detective, I've been thinking of that too. Is that something you intend to follow up on? Well, he doesn't really need money, does he? He's, his grandfather's like supposed to be the richest man in Surrey, isn't he? He's got the biggest landowner in Surrey. So, I mean, like, it would be pretty hard to be like if I suddenly made him an accountant or a plumber or something like that. I think. It's strange. Some people message me saying, "Oh, I think he should go to university because he can't just hang off his grandfather's coattails." And yeah, I mean, I could have spent a year maybe where he's coming home from university or something like that, but he doesn't know what he wants to do. And I think back then it wasn't like everyone went to university. I guess all the rich people went to university, but even then, I'm sure some people have had no clue. I mean, he's not academic. It's interesting. I think there are elements of all my brothers in this book. I think my brother Dominic, who made me this lovely Negroni, thank you, Dom. He's one of the most intimidating people I've ever met. Not because he's big and scary. It's because he's so intelligent. And so I think he inspired the Lord Edgington character. Whereas Daniel, who's the one who has cancer, has achieved so much without ever being academic. He, excuse me, my nose. He went to university. He did badly in his A levels, which is the school courses you do from 16 to 18. As did I. Did very, very poorly, even though I'd always been predicted good grades and had done well up to then. But I just chose the wrong courses basically. And so he went to university not really knowing what to do. He did drama because he'd done a lot of drama. And he just messed around and didn't really do much, and used his student loan to buy a really nice drum kit, and then dropped out and didn't finish that degree, and spent years working in bars and stuff like that. And he eventually fell into mental health nursing and decided it was for him. And and then he became a nurse, and then he did a master's, and then he became a manager, and then he set up his own style of clinic for people with eating disorders, and it got a lot of attention, and people replicated it in other parts of the country, and it was a big success. And he moved up to be I think he was the head of nursing or mental health nursing. I'm not quite sure. I think it was the head of nursing for the whole of St George's Hospital in London. And he's brilliant. He's amazing, and he's not academic. So the idea that Chrissy has to go to university, I know we're talking about 100 years ago anyway, but I don't think that's something he has to do. But also, I think he doesn't realize it, but he is training, isn't he? He is preparing. He's never going to be Lord Edgington, but just like Marius is never going to be Lord Edgington. They're very different, but they're still capable of doing what needs to be done. So I'm glad you enjoyed the reading. Thank you, Audrey and Lisa. I'm not a fan of Amazon corporate policies. Can we get your books elsewhere? I'm in Canada. I'm just adore the Lord Edgington series. Excuse me. Yes, so I mean, I must admit that I didn't shop at Amazon. I tried to avoid Amazon because I don't believe in monopolies, and I tried to support small local suppliers. So I'm sure all of us do in some ways, even if it's just occasionally going to a fruit tray or greengrocer or something in your town or something like that. I don't think there's anything controversial about that. So I've always made sure that my Lord Edgington books are available in other shops. However, they're much more expensive, which makes things difficult. And most of our money comes from digital publishing, which has to be exclusive with Amazon for people to read it in Kindle Unlimited. And about 50 to 60% of my money comes from Kindle Unlimited. Sorry. So I bought into that system, and I wish it didn't have to be that way. I kind of find it strange that it's not investigated, because it is, it's a total monopoly. I'm not allowed to publish my books digitally anywhere else. I am now allowed to share them with libraries, which might happen quite soon. Excuse me. However, you can go to bookshops and order my Lord Edgington books. But I think there's probably maybe $3 to $4 difference, because the costs are just so much higher printing through other people. So I wish it wasn't that way, but there's no way I can get out of it and continue to save money for a house that we want to build. That's it. I mean, am I selling out my morals? I don't know. I'm quite a moral person. I try to be, environmentally friendly, and I try to be fair to people. And as I said, we tried not to use Amazon. I still try not to buy too much from Amazon, but I think at the same time, a digital file, you're not really taking your work away from anyone. You're not killing a bookshop, because bookshops aren't the ones selling the ebooks. I still try to support ebook. I still try to I still try to support small booksellers. When I'm buying books, I always go to my town and try and buy books from them. But you can do that if you want to give money to the bookseller, and they make quite good profit. And that's the other thing; it's quite expensive. So there's a service called Ingram Spark, and if I sell books through them, I have to give the reseller a 50% discount so that they can make their profit, which makes the book a lot more expensive for me to make $1 or $2. I don't make much money on my hard copies, on my paperbacks, on my hardbacks, because the printing costs and delivery costs are so high, right? So to be able to sell them through shops, I have to cut even more, and to make a very small amount, the price goes up to $15.99 or $16.99 for I'll show you, for the standard large format paperback like that. because and also I haven't put my prices of my books up, but the price of printing has gone up a lot. I don't think I've actually put them up. I really haven't. If a book is a bit longer, like I've got them all here. So like What the Vicar Saw is I think my longest, because like the book itself is about, it's like I think 90,000, because it's got like 4 sections to it, so it was longer. So I try to be really, really fair with my pricing, but the prices compared to like a standard publisher who can print 20,000 copies, 50,000 copies, 100,000 copies, and the price goes down so much each time, I can't do that. And also I'm not the one sending. I can't be the one sending it out. Sorry, the camera's weird. Where we are. I keep Christie and Lord Edgington together. Yeah, and another thing is I like Christie and Lord Edgington together. I don't see. I could do like one book maybe where like they're not maybe together as much. That Paris one might be like that. We'll see. Where I might even have a new narrator. We'll see. Tell your mum I enjoyed her Christmas plates, and it gives me the idea that you should have a set made with Christmas novels covers. Oh, well, this is hers. This is her calendar. She can enjoy that for the moment. We'll see about the plays. It's a nice idea. Yeah. Enjoyed being on with you. So very kind to give you time out. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. I think we probably have had about like 100 different people in the course of the call, so it's really lovely to have. It's definitely, I always said we kind of max out at 50, but I think we got to 70 today. That was nice. Other plates and Cheryl's idea of book cover plates. Yeah, good plan. That's the next merchandise, people. I'm sending my own dinner service with 18 different Lord Edgington, or 20 Lord Edgington covers. Thank you, Benedict. Lovely to spend some time with you. Wishing you and your family a happy, healthy, and peaceful new year. Thank you, Melanie. Ditto from Audrey. Yes, thank you. Wish my hearing was just a bit better, but I think I understood most of what you said. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, Christine. Ebooks are good for seniors who are constantly downsizing, and for size of text. I mean, that's so important for a lot of people. Like I publish the book. We published the books. I've always wanted to do large print, and I'm really sorry. Something we've never got around to. Marion actually started formatting the books, and then her computer broke. She lost all her files on the computer, and it just got put to the back of the list. My theory on what sort of employment Christopher can do is run the estate with Lord Edgington, because I think the staff love him. I think we'll take over Cranley here. Well, after Edgington dies. Yeah, succession might be an issue at one point. We'll see. Depends if we ever get there. Myra Hall says it is a dilemma. I read around 20 books a month and couldn't afford to without Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, again, it makes it affordable. And because people, I don't know if everyone knows what Kindle Unlimited is. It's like Netflix for books through Amazon. It doesn't tend to have a lot of mainstream published books there, but and it doesn't pay very much per book. So if you don't have a lot of readers, it's not great. However, if you have a lot of readers, which I'm very lucky to have a sizable amount, make my living from it, the number of readers on there compensates, even though I probably make about $1 per book read in Kindle Unlimited. Whereas if you buy my ebooks, I make 70% of whatever it says. So $4.99, I'm making $3.50. So it's a big jump, big difference. And obviously, I like it when people buy my ebooks for that reason. However, because so many people are in Kindle Unlimited, it makes up the difference most of the time. The next Christmas book cover could display a plate cabinet which is connected to the murders, the contents of a stately home. It's writing itself, Anna. Sorry, Anne. It's all done. I really don't have to have much to do with the next Christmas book. That's great. Any more questions, please? I'm going to say goodbye quite soon. But if you've got any other questions about the books or about my family or life or anything else, please. What advice would you give for a young writer? How young? But I will give you some advice, and you can tell me. From Bookfan KTM. Right. Well, I mean, my commercial, first advice, clean, blow your nose before you come on a video call. I mean, I'm just totally blocked eyes. It's not even blowing, but excuse me, I'm going to make a horrible noise. Or a silent noise at least, but it's not very professional. So my basic advice is write genre fiction. I mean, find what you love. Fiction has been, pushed more and more and more towards genre fiction. By genre fiction, I mean mystery, horror, romance, crime, thriller, science fiction, these kind of easily identifiable genres. I think when I was starting out, and when a lot of writers start out, they say, what can I do that's different? How can I put things together in a way that no one's done that before? That's not what most readers want. There's the odd book that might break through, that might get a lot of readers, that might win a prize or something because of that. but it's not the majority of the success stories. So and I'm definitely someone who has made a living from writing by finding a genre that was underserved and people want to read. And I love murder mysteries, and I always have, and I've grown up reading historical murder mysteries. And so, although I started off in contemporary mysteries, I've seen your response. Thanks, Bookfed. I will get to that in a second. It's a genre that suited me, that I grew up with. And if I show you my family bookcase, which I think I've included in lots of books, and this is my back room. This is my lounge. I'm not sure I've really shown you the tree properly, but there's the Christmas tree. There's Mum's dresser again. But if I show you this, which is it's like it's been changed. The contents of it has been changed so many times, and I don't know why it's hidden. Excuse me, but this is my mum's Lord Edgington Benedict Brown collection. Marius, Edgington, Izzy. I think there's a couple missing up from upstairs, or my aunt and uncle borrowed them. Come on, Viv and Frank, buy the books. What was I saying? So yeah, I grew up with that. A lot of that is crime fiction, and a lot of that is mystery novels. And I grew up in a house that as I've mentioned many times, where people read murder mystery, and so I never thought of it as a lesser form of fiction. But for a long time through the history of murder mysteries, they were treated as flimsy, lightweight, nothing spectacular. But I think that's the move of popular publishing now has moved away from just considering literary fiction the only great art form in writing. So basically, if you want to make a living easily, easily is not the right word, but if you want to have a hope of making a living from writing, you do need to write something that is in some way commercial. Because if you've got some ambition to write the first great ballet cowboy romance, then do that. But find if you really want to be a writer, find something that serves you. I used to write, when I was trying to get published for my kids' books, I'd go to publishing events, and there'd be people who'd written this 600,000 word word novel, and they said, that when people advice would be he needs to cut down to 300,000. They're like, well, George R.R. Martin didn't do that, and he's a multimillionaire. It's like, that's not the point, is it? The point is you want to get your foot in the door. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound so pushy, but find something that covers the bases, that doesn't just serve a very, very small amount of people, because you can do your passion project later on in life. But if you want to be a writer, you have to find something that a lot of people want to read. And so mysteries are great because they have so many elements to them. And there are science fiction mysteries, and there are romance mysteries, and all those kind of things. So you can probably find something that to mold around it. And if you're 14 and you're starting out, so that's the original question of what advice would I give to a young writer? Read a lot, write a lot, and don't be afraid of then not really doing much with those books. I have got about probably 10 to 15 children's novels that are unpublished, and I think a lot of them are really good. Some of them are rubbish because there's one. Oh my goodness! When I was 18, I wrote, it's just trash, absolute trash. I should burn it. There's only one copy. It's upstairs under my dresser, but it's really awful. But I had to write that, so I knew how to put sentences together and stuff, and how to write characters, and how to write dialogue, things like that. So write is a really interesting thing. And if you've got questions, email me. I'm always open to email. bb@benedictbrown.net. Sorry, I need to go feed all my furry inmates. Love chatting. This is Audrey with you. Looking forward to more Lord Edgington, Chrissy and Marius. Happy New Year to you, and God bless your family. Thank you very much, and God bless to all of you. Thank you for taking time out of your Christmas. For us readers, wishing you all a happy, healthy New Year. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for your dedication to your characters as well as your family. Thank you, Kira. Thank you so much for hosting this. I very much enjoyed listening. I love your books and appreciate that you have shared this time with us. Merry Christmas and a happy New Year to you and your family. Thank you. I don't know what the first name there is. I don't think it's ours. Is it AE? I don't know what the first name is. Sorry. Bonnie Martin says, would you ever explore a different historical time frame? I think I've mentioned before that I did consider Victorian, but I am put off. The obvious thing would be, Lord Edgington and Chrissy's mum, Violet, their early cases, because we know they had cases together. But I'm just put off by the language, because I care about not using anachronistic language and writing anything pre-20th century. It'd just be so much work because I'd care too much. Excuse me. Do you have a favorite book you've written or one you have read? Ooh, favorite book I've written. I normally say, which just happens to be at hand, I think I love this one because it's like puzzle-like nature, like the games they play. I really like, and the characters. I love the Gargoyle Club, which is a real club. Look, thanks, Ian. I did really like the new one. I think that setting is just so perfect, and I just found the photo. I found the photo on a stock photo site, and then I contacted the owners of the house, and they're a nature charity in Switzerland. And then it turned out that Winston Churchill used to stay there. I mean, how mad is that? And that the owner was one of the richest bankers in Britain. I mean, the Villa Cassel in Rheinwald. I can't remember the Riederferk is the name of the actual mountain. I can't remember the name of the town right next to it. So I do love this. I mean, I love my Christmas books. I love Izzy books. I really love. Which one would I pick? I like the London one. I like writing books about London because I love the city. Every time I come here, I just find it amazing. There's so many amazing things about it. So that's not a really good answer, is it? I always say the Tangled Treasure Trail, so let's stick with that. I think I think this might be the most fun. It's got sad bits to it as well, but I really like it. There you go. Yes, I'm a mystery fan. Books and TV, I like them to have a little bit of humour. So your books, thank you, Diane. Yeah, I do try and obviously put a lot of humour. And it's hard for me not to. I think even the thriller, which is quite a tough book in some ways, has that humour in it, little avenues through. Thanks for taking the time. Happy holidays. Thank you. Like historical mystery. Skipped a bit. One thing I think would be funny in future Edgington board novel is for Edgington and Christopher to travel to America and be surprised how bizarrely different American methods are. Thoughts. I think it would have to be just like a trip over to New York. I don't think I could do a whole series, but yeah, I have considered it. I want to do a ferry book or a cruise book with them. I've got a really good plot in my head, so maybe I could combine those. Maybe we'll see. I've kind of got a route planned. I don't know whether they're going to go back to Britain sooner or later, but for a couple of years they'll be in Europe at least. We'll see. Very pleasant evening chat. Thank you. Happy and healthy New Year, and to you, Moira, as well. Thanks for the Christmas party. Blessings to you and your family. It's Amanda. Sorry, it's the person he's got AEHR. I didn't really notice my username until you mentioned it. Next mystery is how to change it. Who knows? I don't know why mine is Benedict 49263. Blah 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 blah. I didn't used to be. That's changed. Thank you for this session tonight, Benedict. Very happy 2026 to you and your family. Okay. Well, if there's any last questions, please write them now. I will have a sip of drink and then I will say my closing remarks if I don't have any questions. I should be just drinking cough medicine or something. Okay. Cheers, Alan. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everyone tuning in. Thank you for putting up with my blocked nose. I had a bit of a flu the last few days and I felt better today, but I can't breathe. Thank you. Always. I really enjoy these talks because it's nice to something I haven't really mentioned today is that I've met so when I went to Washington State, to Seattle, I think I met about 8 or 9 of my readers, maybe 10, a couple of whom are on the call tonight. And then I've met Helena, who's also on the call, in a cafe near here because she lives near me. Met one American who happened to be in London whilst I was here, and her husband a couple of years ago. And that's pretty much it. My aunt reads my books. Mum's read most of them. So it's a very odd thing. So I made, we started during COVID, and obviously it's all done from home, or it's all digital publishing. And it never feels like that's the case, because I do have emails most days from readers telling me that they enjoy my books. And I have built up relationships. Like Lisa was on, who's one of the people I met in Washington, who have also been a very important help with my ARC team, and also just a fascinating person. Lisa, I think you're great. And I've made real friends through my readers, like genuine friends who I if I don't hear from for a month, I will email and just chat nonsense to them because I'm like, oh, haven't heard from her for a while. So it's hugely important because I care. I want the people I like to enjoy my books. So if I was completely disconnected from everyone, and if I didn't do these kind of things, it wouldn't feel the same. It would feel like I was just sending it to Amazon. That was it. So I greatly appreciate you all coming on. I'm really, really glad you like my books. Thank you for complimenting my mother's plates and dress. She will appreciate it. Good work. And I will just check the last couple of messages and then I'll say goodnight. Thanks for a lovely evening. Thoroughly listening to enjoy listening. I think I might have always said that to Steph, but there you go. Best wishes for you and your family in 20 minutes. Thank you. One thing I consider consistently funny throughout the Edgington novels is Christopher trying, sometimes failing, to drive on his own. Yeah, I should think we need to go back to this because I was building up to a racing novel because of the time racing tracks were coming into their own. So I would like to do a racing novel where he has to drive. Yeah. Your favorite book is the one I used to introduce a friend to Lord Edgington, and he's been hooked ever since. Fantastic. He lived and worked in London for a time, so he could identify with locations. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Cheryl. Lisa says a racing novel would be great. Yeah, there are circuits in the south of France that I considered using, but I think that's going to be off the cards now because I've kind of planned out the French locations. But yes, we could do one in Spain or somewhere. Happy New Year to all of you. Merry Christmas. It continues to be Christmas. Don't forget, just because it's not the 25th anymore, I'm still going to pantomimes. I'm still giving presents, and I refuse to say that Christmas is over until 12th night. So keep strong. Keep the Christmas trees watered, and have a very lovely end to your year. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you again before long. Take care. Bye bye.